Hi, everyone. Welcome back. This is EmpressFayer. If you notice in this series of this book, which is Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, and it's all small stuff, simple ways to keep the little things from taking over your life, I've been coming on live to break down the book, share my experiences, and just for us to have a conversation about it. And I've been coming on live on TikTok as well as YouTube. But for some reason, I just haven't felt like coming live lately. So I have decided to just record it and talk about it like we used to do and then upload it. And you can let me know how this feels to you. It would be a podcast theme going forward, which is something that I want to do more of, that I want to work on. But we'll see how it goes. Okay, so we're at chapter 17, which is surrender to the fact that life isn't fair. A friend of mine, in response to a conversation we were having about the injustices of life, asked me the question, who said life was going to be fair, or that it was even meant to be fair? Her question was a good one. It reminded me of something I was taught as a youngster. Life isn't fair. It's a bummer, but it's absolutely true. Ironically, recognizing this sobering fact can be a very liberating insight. It's true. It's very freeing to see that life it's not fair. If you're beautiful, there's somebody more beautiful than you. If you're skillful, there's somebody more skillful than you. If you're rich, there's somebody richer than you, right? If you're slim, there's somebody slimmer than you. If you're fat, there's somebody fatter than you. There's always someone more than whatever you are. One of the mistakes many of us make is that we feel sorry for ourselves or for others, thinking that life should be fair or that someday it will be. It's not, and it won't. When we make this mistake, we tend to spend a lot of time wallowing and or complaining about what's wrong with life. We commiserate with others, discussing the injustices of life. It's not fair. We complain, not realizing that perhaps it was never intended to be. I was never really a complainer, like somebody who would just sit and complain endlessly. But I can also say the moment that I was aware of what complaining does and really walk towards not complaining at all, to be intentionally aware that I am complaining, even the little bit of it that I did, it changed my life. Not complaining completely transformed my life, where to the point, no matter what is happening, I can always say, I'm grateful to be alive and everything is fine and everything is okay and everything will work out. It changed a lot of things. One of the nice things about surrendering to the fact that life isn't fair is that it keeps us from feeling sorry for ourselves by encouraging us to do the very best we can with what we have. Yeah, that reminded me of the book Untethered Soul, about surrendering. We know it's not, we know it's not life's job to make everything perfect. It's our own challenge. Surrender, so, I am stumbling on my words. I don't have water around me. Surrendering to this fact also keeps us from feeling sorry for others because we are reminded that everyone is dealt a different hand and everyone has unique strengths and challenges. This reminds me of the fact that everybody is on a different level of growth. I know for me, coming from a very judgmental environment and me judging people without knowing that I'm judging them, when I understood that everyone was on a different path and everyone was on a different journey, it changed how I looked at people. And that reminds me of the quote, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And so now I was able to meet people where they are. And these past days, I have been triggered by past experiences that have been coming up where people that I knew and loved and thought they had the best intentions for me actually didn't. And now looking back, I can see that their actions were judgmental, were detrimental to who I was at that point, were very hurtful. And I am aware that I don't know if at that point, if they tried to teach me, if I would have been ready to learn. But I can see that they didn't even try to teach. It was just that judgmental factor that you should have known the things that I didn't know. This insight has helped me to deal with the problems of raising two children. That's the book. I don't have two children. I don't think I ever will. This insight has helped me to deal with the problems of raising two children, the difficult decisions I have had to make about who to help and who I can't help, as well as with my own personal struggles during those times that I have felt victimized or unfairly treated. It almost always wakes me up to reality and puts me back on track. The fact that life isn't fair doesn't mean we shouldn't do everything in our power to improve our own lives or the world as a whole. As a whole, not a hold. That line, right? The fact that life isn't fair doesn't mean we shouldn't do everything in our power to improve our own lives or the world as a whole. It's basically why I do what I do now. If you look at my channel, well, if you're listening to this on TikTok, when you go to my YouTube channel, I have different playlists that I create every day, from Black psychology, Black history, uh, psychology, African history. To me is the same, but I have heard people say it's not. Meditation, basically everything that has helped me on my journey become who I am today. Because just recently I was thinking, I am becoming, or I already am, the person that I needed that I didn't get, which is the person who is willing and ready to share this information and get it into the hands of people who might not have anybody around them to give them this information. So even though I don't complain and I know life is not fair, I still feel that the best I can do is everything that I do know, the skills that I do have, I put it together and put it out there so people who need my experiences or what I have to offer can hopefully get to it. And that initially started with me wanting to do it for my sister or sisters. But one particular sister, that's where that thought started, until I realized that actually not a few. I have only two sisters, younger sisters, one on my mom's side, one on my dad's side. The one on my mom's side is the reason that I started putting all of this together. Because when I realized how deep her trauma was, it triggered me a lot. Because most of the things she was going through and explaining to me, I already understood. Right. And then when I started documenting all of these, putting everything together, I realized that my sister on my dad's side is also on a spiritual journey. She's in a different country, but I started seeing her social media posting basically everything that I talk about, even posting a picture of segment. That was like, okay, yeah, okay. I'm on the right path, right? Because I can put something together for my sisters to follow. And then the other reason was my daughter as well. I wanted to have something where she can come back to and say, my this is my mother speaking. My mother did this work. So whatever advice that she needs in terms of life and growing and consciousness and being aware of herself, she can always come back and say, this is my mother's voice and I can listen to her. So these are the things that started my journey. And then eventually I saw that, wait a minute, this is bigger than just that. I can put this information out there. And children like myself who have never had the opportunity to have these teachings, to be told these teachings, they can hear it and it can change their lives. Right? So the fact that life isn't fair doesn't mean we shouldn't do everything in our power to improve our own lives or the world as a whole. To the contrary, it suggests that we should. When we don't recognize or admit that life isn't fair, we tend to feel pity for others and for ourselves. Pity, of course, is a self defeating emotion that does nothing for anyone except to make everyone feel worse than they already do. I had a video that I talked about my struggle with suicidal thoughts. And in that video, I explain as well that I'm not looking for sympathy and I'm not looking for pity. Why? Because we should normalize or have to normalize being able to speak about these issues without anybody thinking we're looking for attention or looking for pity, which is why a lot of people don't talk about their mental health issues, right? And I talk about issues when it comes to suicide because my sister on my mother's side is suicidal. And I talk to her about it. And she can talk to me about it openly. And so, you know, if you go back to what I said, that the first person who made me want to get on this journey of documenting my experiences is her, my sister on my mother's side. So it's just I telling, is that the word, telling, that I should talk about suicide as well, but not feeling pity or wanting anybody to feel pity. When we do recognize that life isn't fair, however, we feel compassion for others and ourselves. And compassion is a heartfelt emotion that delivers love and kindness to everyone it touches. The next time you find yourself thinking about the injustices of the world, try reminding yourself of this very basic fact. You may be surprised that it can nudge you out of self pity and into helpful action. And that's the end of that chapter. The next one is allow yourself to be bored, which will be interesting, right? Because I like to say that peace is boring and boredom is peace. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I will see you again. It feels like going forward, I'll be trying this podcast listening team. I was listening to somebody who does a podcast and I liked what he said. He was saying that he was surprised um, that people actually like the podcast team because one of the reasons why he was doing it, one of the reasons why he was doing it is so that you can cook and be around the house or do whatever you want while you're listening. And that struck a chord. Well, that is what I just said reminded me of the song trying to strike a chord that is A minor. It struck a chord that majority of the time when I play things, I'm just listening and going around. I'm not sitting down to actually watch things very rarely. And so I thought, that's a interesting concept. And it's a concept that I really love and like. So I have been trying that. If you go to my YouTube channel, I've had different videos that have been put in together. Most of them are things that I already listen to and watch or play when I'm sleeping. From, well, the sleeping one, I usually would play high vibrational tones, peaceful tones, meditation music that I sleep with. So I put together the ones I listen to, put them on the channel. I love listening to Dr. Amos Wilson. He is a Black psychologist, and I am very much into Black studies, African studies, and psychology. So I love listening to him. I made a playlist of him. Dr. Mary Andy inspired me a lot. So I also made a playlist of her. And those are all just audio that you can listen to wherever you're going. You don't have to sit and watch. But anyway, I will see you again and we will talk more. Let me know what you think in the comments. Bye bye.